Hello everybody, it is Tuesday the 9th of June and this is my second vlog for this month. I'm speaking and crying out to the nation, please take stock. Recent events in the UK following the atrocious attack on George Floyd in America is understandable, but isn't going to help anyone at all. I've been accused of being a privileged white male, so I wouldn't understand. So this is my response, and I'm going to make an offer or a suggestion of how we can move forward with things. First of all, I suggest those who question my status that they read the first 3 chapters of my autobiography, and I'll say no more about that. What happened to George Floyd is appalling. It's appalling because, one, it happened to him in 2020, but there's been a whole history of such events in America, which again is appalling. But throughout history, there have been appalling events which highlight man's inhumanity to man. As for slavery, it goes way back to the Bibles. After all, Moses did a lot of smiting, and for those who don't understand the term smiting in today's parlance, it is genocide. Also, the Romans, most of their armies were people that were captured and were enslaved, and they were given the choice of having an appalling lifestyle as a slave or to join the army, in which case they'd probably die anyway. The pulling down of statues, I'm particularly thinking of Edward Colston in Bristol recently. And there's talk of people wanting Cecil Rhodes' statue at Oxford to be taken down, and for many other people associated with the slave trade to be taken down. I say no. If you take them down and hide them or throw them in the bottom of the river, then they'll soon be forgotten. It'll be exactly the same as what my grandparents used to say, if something's uncomfortable, just brush it under the carpet. Well, you do that, and then generations ahead of us will forget about what you're complaining about today. Whereas I suggest keep the statues there, absolutely. Perhaps move them to a naughty corner somewhere, but they should be there for people to see. And I suggest marking each of the statues with a mark that sort of highlights that their lifestyle, their behaviour, and the things they did during their lifetime was somewhat dubious at the very best. That way, it still is in sight, because the danger is people will forget, and they do quite quickly and quite easily. So that's my suggestion. They should stay, and we should regularly remember our past. Now, I'm going to say, as a British white male, I'm ashamed of the British history. And if you read some of the American history, the things that they did to the Native Americans is appalling, absolutely appalling. But throughout the ages of the British Empire, we did some very nasty, ghastly and terrible things, which are sort of forgotten in history, because there was a time, not too long ago, where history, and social history in particular, was discouraged to be taught. So now we are a nation of very ignorant people of our past. Well, that has to change. We have to understand our past, accept that it was a past, but apologise. And I personally am apologising for the atrocities that took place under the name of the British Empire. There were also the Crusades, where Richard I went out and did a lot of slaughtering and stealing of land under the name of God. So, to move on, I would be more than happy to sit round the table with anyone of any nation, of any culture, of anything, and sit round the table and say, sorry, now let's move on. And for those who want to criticise me and call me a racist or a bigot, I say, bring it on, because I will be able to correct you about my thoughts and my beliefs. And for those of you who have responded to my acknowledging the abilities and what other people have achieved who are of an ethnic minority status, thank you very much for your comments. I will continue, because I can list hundreds of them, and I will continue until people are bored. So that's my plea. Let's get round the table. Let's have no more fighting. The sights of crowds throwing bricks at the police, a bicycle at a horse, is appalling, and in my opinion there is no excuse for it whatsoever. I appreciate that there is some pain. I appreciate that people want change, but as Edward Heath once said in an interview, let's have more jaw than war. Thank you for listening.